If you are building a new home here in Georgia, whether you're going the full custom route or you're working with a builder building a semi-custom neighborhood like we are in here in Sterlington by SR Homes, it can be very easy to get overwhelmed. You don't know the right questions to ask, and because of not knowing the right questions to ask, there can be some mistakes that get made or some omissions that just slip through the cracks and you wind up regretting down the line.
Building a home can be super overwhelming, whether it's your first home or your fifth home. So our goal is going to be in this video is to walk you guys through 5 of the biggest mistakes people either overlook or just straight up miss when it comes to working with a builder, whether you're doing it on your own or working, like Dallas said, with a preferred builder in a subdivision like we're standing in here now.
So mistake number 1 that I've seen a lot of buyers make when going out and building a new home is not accounting for the potential appreciation of the home and making more of a financial decision as opposed to just a, this is me buying a new home decision. What do I mean by that? If you have 2 separate communities that all else is equal, same product, same price point, etc. And one of those communities has a downtown area very close by that's going through some more redevelopment. You know, there's additions going in such as new commercial. You're seeing right here, for example, right by Highway 20 where they're widening the highway, indicators that there's going to be continued economic growth in the area and from that continued population growth. And then you have another neighborhood that has none of those things. It's kind of out on its own. There's not a lot of new construction going in. There's not much commercial going in. There's not a downtown area close by. It would be safe to assume that the first neighborhood would be more than likely to appreciate at a bit quicker rate than the second neighborhood. And that's something that you should absolutely keep in mind when buying your new home, because at the end of the day, it is your new home, but also it is a very large financial investment, and you want to see an outsized equity return or an outsized check when you get to the closing table on the other side when you're selling the home, as opposed to just kind of the traditional 3 to 5% of appreciation that a new home just gets year over year. And this is going to tie in very well with the last point that we touch on in this video, so make sure to stick around for that. Let's get to point number 2. Another mistake that buyers can make when they're going out looking to buy a new construction home, particularly in a neighborhood, is not taking full advantage of what the preferred incentives are. So it is probably in your best interest to go out and shop amongst the different builders and not only look at the quality of the home, but also look at the incentives that are being offered and how they could benefit you. So for example, there's a host of different incentives that builders could offer. Maybe it is a half-price basement or a free basement. Maybe it's a design center credit. Maybe it's dollars that can be used however you want. And typically these are going to be tied to just working with a preferred lender and have some sort of time constraint on them. So the mistake that typically can be made is coming in and saying, well, I'm only going to work with this one particular lender that I have. I'm not going to work with the builder's preferred lender. And you could be costing yourself $30, $40, $50. I've even seen so much as $75,000 in terms of incentives, which are basically free money to you in exchange for working with their lender and taking advantage of them within the constrained time period, which again is another large mistake that I see made. A lot of times these incentives are going to change month over month, season over season. And so you might come out to a neighborhood and you might say, hey, I love this neighborhood. And what are the incentives? And the agent on site might say, we're offering $30,000. You can use however you would like. And you know, this is applicable through, call it the end of the month. And if you go home and you sit around and you take too much time before taking action on that, you might come back out, you know, call it a month or 2 later and say, hey, look, I'm ready to jump on this and take advantage of it. Can I get that $30,000? And they go, sorry, that was a limited time offer. That was, you know, just for the next available spec home. That was just for until the end of the month, whatever the case might be. And then you've just cost yourself $30,000 in free money. You could use that for a buy down, maybe reduction on the purchase price. So make sure that you're staying on top of what the incentives are, both what is offered, making sure that you are going to fit into being eligible for those with the preferred lender, and also within the timeline that they are offered to save yourself a heck of a lot of money in the long run.
The number 1 biggest mistake home buyers overlook when working with their builder in a semi-custom to custom standpoint is going to be missing out on the framing and mechanical stage of the build. This is a really important process that you want to be involved with your builder hands-on with. Get out on site, walk your home, look at your plans with your builder, and have them give suggestions on your mechanicals and framing areas that may have otherwise been overlooked in a 2-dimensional plan. There's a big difference between looking at your 2-dimensional plans and then once you actually get that house framed up 3D and actually walking through it and comparing that to your plans. You also want to make sure you're taking a deep dive into your mechanicals. It's a lot easier to add extra mechanicals or potential wants now than it is down the road, especially once you get your sheetrock hung. So you want to think about outlets that you want in specific places, maybe a potential car charger for an electric car down the road, gas lines for grills, the list goes on, but you want to take that into account when you're going through this stage of your home with your home builder. You also want to take account for dead spaces. So a lot of times you'll have chases on plans, or your roof truss plans may acquire a dead space behind a wall. So a dead space is going to be anywhere that wasn't really included on your plans that once you get it framed up is actually a useful space. So you're actually running into a dead space here in this beautiful creek view plan out here in Sterlington by SR Homes. And what we did is we actually made the best use of that space that we could. So you'll see here to my left, we have a 13x7 dead space that showed up once we hung these trusses and got this second floor framed up. So what did we do with that space? So we actually got our entire design team, architecture team, and construction team out here on site to find out how we can make the best use out of this space for a potential home buyer. So what we did is we actually pulled the full laundry room from the main floor upstairs to give this a full laundry up, and then we're actually going to add a secondary stackable laundry downstairs to the large master closet. So what that's going to do is that's going to give two potential buyers the quality that they need to make their home the most functional. So if you're just using the main floor, you're still not missing out on your laundry room capabilities, as you can now have a stackable in your master closet. And if you have a larger family, you now have a full laundry with a sink, washer, dryer, and storage closet upstairs, as well as your secondary laundry downstairs, so you're not missing out on that space. That's a great idea when it comes to making use of that dead space you find in your house. That is a huge mistake home builders as well as home buyers overlook in the process. The fourth big mistake a lot of people make when going through this home building process is not vetting their builder or getting to know their builder, as well as not paying attention to the builder and their previous work, as well as other clients, or not paying attention to their contracts. So when you're working on picking out your builder, a big thing that I suggest that you do is meet with that builder several times. If you're doing a pre-sale, ask for a lot walk, so see how they walk you through the process. A big thing that we see around the Metro Atlanta area with some of these bigger builders is you are just another client to them, another sale. A big thing that we do here at SR is you want to make that relationship personal. When you're spending this much money on a home, you should expect the process to be a personal experience, an experience that the home buyer enjoys as well as the home builder. We don't do this just for the giggles of it. This is something we're truly passionate about, and something that can be very important when you're going through the process of picking your home builder. Another thing is paying attention to those contracts. I know Dallas has crazy experience when it comes to working with home buyers and their contract stories.
Yeah, you definitely need to read through the entire contract before you sign anything. It is kind of shocking the amount of people that will just sign off on a document and not ask questions. And that's something that we encourage. Generally speaking, when someone is buying a new home with SR, we're going to sit down and go through that contract, and I'm going to say, hey, what questions do you have about the contract? What can I explain to make you more at ease with the process? And this is something that I've kind of picked up from being on the other side of it, working with home buyers that were buying new homes, not with SR, and having frankly terrible experiences where the agents have blocked phone numbers of home buyers that are asking questions. They have deliberately misrepresented when they are able to do certain inspections. Then when those deadlines are missed, said, oh, you're not allowed to do the inspection anymore. Just as Tyler said, you need to properly vet the builder that you are going to be working with, and frankly make a judgment of how is the sales team interacting with me? Are they treating me with respect? Are they prompt? Are they getting back to me when they say they would? And how is the builder when I walk the lot with the builder? Is he acting like he's happy to be there and that he is trying to give me the best service possible? Or is he acting like it is an absolute nuisance and he's annoyed that I'm even there? So those are just a couple of things to take into consideration to save yourself from some potential headaches down the line. Once you do get under contract, now there's a large amount of deposits that are at stake, and things just get a lot more contentious.
Yeah, it's super important when going through this process as well that you take into account that this is going to be your home one day. A lot of builders, they take the route of this is our project, this is how we're going to do things. Builders have processes and procedures, as we do here at SR, to keep ourselves safe as well as the home buyers. That can be such as like an allotted time slot where you have to have a representative from the select builder to be able to access your home. So there are things like that for insurance purposes, liability, things like that builders are going to follow no matter who you work with. You also want to make sure you get the vibe that your builder's knowledgeable. There's a lot of stories out there that we hear on both sides, from the construction side as well as the sales side, where the builder just blatantly overlooks stuff. You'll wind up with issues down the road. You also want to pay attention to the warranty process. I know from a sales side that can be super important. is something that we take into account here at SR. We try and use customer service as the best marketing tool in this industry, and that's truly something that I think around the entire construction industry needs to be looked at more. Is customer service really does drive your future business, and that's something I believe here at SR we use pretty well to get future clients and things like that.
The fifth and final mistake that some home buyers make when they are building their new home is ignoring the resale value when they're going out and they are designing that new home. Now, if you think that this is going to be your forever home, you can completely throw this out the window. But if you're like most Americans, where you're going to live in the home somewhere between 7 and 10 years, you need to keep resale value in mind when you're making your selections. What do I mean by this? It is probably a better use of your dollars to splurge a little bit on things like your kitchen and your master bathroom and your living room, and save a little bit for maybe your secondary bath upstairs. Another possible good use of your dollars could be a powder room that you want to really make pop and give some life to. Why is this? When you're going to sell your new home, it is probably not going to be worth the dollars to go through and do a complete renovation of your kitchen, your master bath, spending $50,000, $100,000. It's unlikely that you're going to be able to get that amount out in terms of your return. So it's a little bit better to splurge on your countertops, on your cabinets, on your backsplash, and save having to spend all that money down the line and pull away some of the allocation for secondary bathrooms and the like. As I mentioned earlier, another area to take a look at is your master bathroom. The three main areas of the home that are generally going to sell the home when you put it on market as a resale are going to be your kitchen, your master bath, and your living room. So the same principles kind of apply here in your master bath, just as they do in the kitchen. It is worth spending a few extra dollars here. So a frameless glass shower, the tile all the way to the ceiling, nice quartz countertops, nice slow close cabinets, so that you save that expense of having to come out of pocket $40,000, $50,000, $75,000 down the line when you want to try and sell your home and have to recoup all of that, however much you put into your master bath renovation. And again, you can pull away from areas that are not going to be as popular in the resale market to really make the main living areas pop and ultimately get top dollar when you do sell down the line.
We hope this video was helpful and kind of gave you a roadmap on some of the big mistakes you can make as a home buyer when potentially working with a builder going through this process. We understand this can be an overwhelming process for a lot of people. So I hope this video encourages you to come out and work with us here at SR Homes. We take it very personal when it comes to working you through this process and hope that we can make it as clear as possible when buying your new home.
Like Tyler said, if you have any interest in working with us, whether that is in any of the 4 neighborhoods we're currently building, or if you're thinking about getting a custom home built, we would love to have a discussion with you. You can just click the link right down below to our website and submit a form, and we'd love to be in contact with you and see if it might make sense for us to work together.